Hi, folks. This is Mr. MegaManFan. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. You know all the things to do. Now, before we get into what's in this box, I want to emphasize that the seller, who shall remain nameless for privacy reasons, didn't do anything wrong here. He has already filed a claim with the United States Postal System for the insured amount, and I presume he will get it, and he has already said that he will give that to me in compensation. But we'll get to why in a minute. First of all, I was excited because this is a Super Mario 3D World Deluxe Set Wii U. And I'm at a point with Wii U collecting where I'm now interested in box variants of the consoles because there's only so many games for Wii U that you can collect, and then you're done with them after that. So what else are you going to collect but different versions of the Wii U? And I was made a very attractive offer on this, less than the price charting amount for the Super Mario 3D World Deluxe set usually goes for complete in box. So I couldn't pass it up. And the box isn't 100%, which is probably why I got a good offer on it. Now, the front artwork is fine, and most of the sides are fine, but one side has a couple of tears where the flaps are that you would open to get into it. And you'll see that here in just a second. The seller offered to throw in a Bret the Hitman Hart action figure because he knows I'm a pro wrestling fan, so he tucked it inside of the Wii U console box itself, which is fine. I assume that is actually something that helped pad the shipped item, and as I joked to him afterwards, if anybody knows how to take a bump, it's Bret Hart, so he survived fine, but whatever else the postal system didn't survive so fine. But this is definitely a complete console because all of the paperwork and Club Nintendo stuff, which no longer exists and you can't redeem, is all inside of the box. And all the original cords and accessories are in here as well. You can see we've got a Wii U power brick with its yellow plug at the end. And these are much harder to find than you would think. You can find loose Wii U consoles at thrift stores all day, every day, but do they have a power brick? No. Do they have the gamepad / touchscreen? No. Even if it does have the gamepad, does it include the charging dock and all the cords for that? No. You'll find a lot of incomplete Wii U's out there that are just console only with no other extra parts that you actually need to operate the Wii U. Or at least until Matt Casey's project to homebrew a Wii U touchpad alternative becomes a reality. Incidentally, I need to check his progress on that because he was doing live streams about it earlier this year, and then the focus kind of shifted away to the Lego Island decompilation, and I don't know if he's still working on that or if it just hit a dead end and he had to quit. So maybe I'll ask him via social media, although that's iffy if anybody responds, especially when you don't have one of those blue check marks that means people actually pay attention to what you say, but I refuse to pay money for one of those. Anyway, we continue unboxing the Wii U with more cords and accessories. There's the power supply for the touchpad dock. There's a sensor bar for the Wii U. Really, I mean it when I say everything is in here. That's what I was promised, and that's what I'm getting. Even the stands that you would use for playing the touchpad when you set it on a desk like for Nintendo Land, which is an underrated game, and John from Good Vibes Gaming pointed that out in a recent video. He bought like 12 Wii U games for 70 pounds or 70 euros, I forget which, and Nintendo Land was one of those games, and I agree with John. If you've not played Nintendo Land, it's worth buying. Heck, I'd say it's worth getting a Wii U just to play, so by all means, check out that game. And from the looks of the Wii U gamepad, you would think everything was okay here. The Wii U itself is a little scuffed up, but certainly not the worst I've ever seen. I've cleaned up ones from thrifts that looked worse than that. And now I think we're getting down to the nitty-gritty in the box because that was the last piece of paperwork. So I'll be able to show you the damage to the box itself. I probably should have gotten the shipping box out of the way before I started showing the box the console came in, but oh well, it is what it is. I think you can get a pretty good view of what's going on here. The front looks beautiful. The back side also looks beautiful, but it's one side that has a couple of tears. And they're exactly in the place you would expect to from some kid aggressively opening the box to get into the contents. Since I got a good deal on everything else and the main artwork was intact, I wasn't too worried about a couple of flaps on the side, but I did want to make sure the console worked. So far we're looking good. I plugged in the power brick and got a red light. I was looking for an SD card to be in the slot. A lot of times when you get a used Wii U, somebody left one in, but this seller didn't, and I'm not chuffed about that. I can get my own SD card and put it in there, especially if I decide I want to homebrew it. Although, I don't know that I will, since this is one that comes with 2 games pre-installed, but then again, given what you're about to see in a few moments, I would have an incentive to homebrew it to use alternative controllers. But if the insurance comes through and covers the damage, I won't need to worry about that because I've already ordered a replacement for what's not working. And what's not working, you ask? Well, you've seen everything else, so I think you can probably guess at this point. There was a problem with the gamepad / touch screen. It's not evident from the unboxing because it was wrapped in bubble wrap and it looked fine, but you'll remember that the only padding inside of the console box itself was a Bret Hart action figure. Yes, the console and the touchpad were wrapped in bubble wrap, but they were still able to move around freely inside that box. If I remember my own Wii U Deluxe set, this stuff was in trays, and you would slide the trays out of the box, and those trays kind of held everything in place. There were no trays inside of here, so whatever was going to move around in shipping would definitely move around, and a little bit of bubble wrap around the console and the touchpad is probably not enough. Were it up to me and there were no trays inside of the box, I would fill up the box with foam peanuts just to make sure nothing moved around. I realize foam peanuts are a pain to clean up, but they're also good for filling space when you need things to not move in transit. And I more place the blame on the postal system here because they do not exercise a lot of care about how they load and unload things. The actual person who delivers my mail is always great, but the person who handles it at processing facilities and who loads it into a truck, not necessarily exercising the same kindness and care that your postal person that you meet on the delivery route is. They're great. The handling until it gets to them is not so great. Let me move the camera a little so we can get a look at this test and you'll see what went wrong when I was testing. So I've got the touchpad in view of the camera because I was going to pan over to the main television screen once it turned on. Let's just hear my reaction as I turn on the Wii U and see what the display on the touchpad does. Oh. I'm sure you can guess what I was thinking when I said that. Oh, I didn't want to say, oh, you know what 4-letter word, so that was all I could muster while I was filming to keep it PG, but oh, expletive was what I was definitely thinking. And I'm looking at this screen like, oh boy, this one is shot. On the plus side, the buttons on the controller work, but on the minus side, that screen is toast. And I've seen a lot of them on eBay that look this way, so this seems to be pretty common damage to the touch screen itself. Very unfortunate.